Looks like you've got some koi there behind you.
Oh, no, that's my trout pond.
Representative Jill.
Looks like koi.
Representative Jill.
Yes, Linda.
We are live.
We are live. Yeah, that's my trout pond in my backyard, Danny.
Nice.
You have a permit?
Oh, for trout? Yeah, sure. With that, good morning, everyone. I'm Senator Jim Dill, and I want to welcome everyone to our IFW committee hearing this morning. We have 3 public hearings to do, and I would just mention a few things that it is an electronic meeting, of course, as you can all see and hopefully hear. So be patient with us. There are always glitches for lots of reasons, so please just bear with us and try to keep that in mind. It is live streamed on YouTube as well as the Zoom meeting here. So please keep your microphones muted when you're not testifying or asking questions or something, especially committee members. It is recorded and you can watch this in archived later. Make sure you have your name correctly on front of your photo here that's on the Zoom. Chat, try to use that just for some technical information, like if you have email or telephone number or something like that. Nothing of any substance that we want to make sure is spoken live. And the way the hearing process will go today is we'll start with the sponsor, followed by any other co-sponsors and or legislators who wish to speak. And then we'll have, after them, it will be the department speaking. And then we'll open it up to the public of those who have listed, that I have a list of, to testify for each bill. And for Linda, what I'll do is before the last speaker in each group speaks, I'll list the next 3 so that they know they're coming up, and Linda will let you in at that time so you're already there. Now remember, public testimony, I'm trying to keep everyone to 3 minutes across all bills, just to make it fair for the public as they speak. I don't have a timer yet. I'm trying to figure one out. But please try to keep to the 3 minutes or less. And we'll be looking at for, against, and neither for nor against as far as what we'll try to do. We may alternate occasionally if we have a lot, but that will be the general way I'll go, or it may actually be just the way they're listed that you signed up. And then finally, I think we're down to where the last thing I would say is that unfortunately, Representative Landry and I have to be the background police. And when you pop up to testify, if there's something that we feel may not be representative of what we're talking about or whatever, we may ask you to reposition your camera or shut the video off so that you can reposition or whatever for your testimony. And there is no props. You can't hold up props and that type of thing, or screen sharing. So with that, it's time to introduce committee members, and I'll just go across my screen as I see you. So Representative Martin.
Which one, Jim?
Oh, sorry, Danny Martin.
Yeah. Good morning, Mr. Chair. Good morning, folks. My name is Danny Martin. I represent House 150, located in northern Aroostook County.
Representative John Martin.
Good morning, it's John Martin, House District 151, and I represent a number of towns west of Route 11 all the way to the Canadian border in Aroostook County.
Representative Lyford. You're muted.
Good morning. Got it. Good morning, Peter Lyford, District 129, which is Clifton, Eddington, Holden, Northborough, and Vesey.
Representative Mason.
Good morning, Rick Mason, District 56, all of Lisbon.
Representative Neto.
Good morning, everyone. Kathy Neto, representing Winslow and a small portion of Benton.
Senator Black.
Good morning, Senator Black, representing Senate District 17, which is all of Franklin County and 4 towns in Kennebec.
Representative Terrio.
Good morning, Representative Tim Terrio. I represent District 79, which is Albion, most of Benton, China, and Unity Plantation.
Representative Hepler.
Good morning, Allison Hepler. I represent House District 53, which is Arousik, Georgetown, Phippsburg, Woolwich, where I live, Dresden, and a small part of Richmond.
And Senator Curry.
Good morning, Mr. Chair. I'm Chip Curry, and I represent Senate District 11, which includes the rural, coastal, and island communities of Waldo County.
Representative Landry.
Good morning, Representative Scott Landry. I represent District 113, the towns of Farmington and New Sharon.
And Representative Ordway.
Morning, I'm Lester Ordway. I represent District 23, which is most of the town of Standish.
All right, and with that, we have 3 bills this morning on our schedule. The first one is, Linda LaCroix is our clerk. And then we have Rachel Olson, who is our analyst. And both of these folks will try to keep us straight all morning, especially Linda. So we'll go from there. So our first public hearing today is LD 142, an act to give the Commissioner of Inland Fisheries and Wildlife rulemaking authority to establish a bear season framework and bag limits. And the sponsor is Representative John Martin. So I will open the public hearing. Representative Martin.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman. And obviously, I am John Martin. I've identified myself a little earlier, so I won't do that again. But this bill is actually a department bill, which they asked me to put in. It actually is something which we had worked on before we adjourned in March. And I'll let the department take it from there.
Great, thank you. Next is, are there any other co-sponsors or legislators that want to testify on this? I don't see anything. You, Rachel, do we have any other legislators? I don't see anyone on my list, so. Next up will be Nate Webb, followed by Steve Wood, Don Kleiner, and David Trahan. Will be the next 3 after Mr. Webb. Nate.
Good morning, Senator Dill, Representative Landry, and members of the Inland Fisheries and Wildlife Committee. I'm Nate Webb, Wildlife Division Director at the Department of Inland Fisheries and Wildlife, speaking on behalf of the department in support of LD 142. This bill makes several changes to bear hunting and trapping, including authorizing the commissioner to open bear hunting season up to 1 week earlier than is currently allowed, continuing to limit the placement of bait for the purposes of bear hunting to no earlier than 30 days prior to the Monday preceding September 1st, clarifying that in addition to determining the dates when hunting bear with bait is permitted during the general bear hunting season, the commissioner may also adopt rules to set the dates when dogs may be used to hunt bear within the current general bear hunting season framework, reducing the fee for a resident bear hunting permit and resident bear trapping permit from $27 to $10, authorizing the commissioner to adopt rules governing the number of bears that may be hunted and trapped in a season, which may not be more than 1 by trapping or 2 in total, with a daily bag limit of 1 bear by hunting. A separate bear hunting permit would be required for each bear when the bag limit for bear exceeds 1. Providing that beginning January 1st, 2022, to obtain a bear trapping permit, a person must either have successfully completed a bear trapping education course or have previously held a valid Maine bear trapping permit in any year prior to 2022. And finally, allowing a person to trap for bear under the authority of either a trapping license or a big game hunting license, as well as a bear trapping permit. In 2017, the department completed a comprehensive big game planning process that included black bears. This planning effort included extensive public consultation, a review of the status of bears in Maine, and incorporated the latest scientific information on bear management. The plan identifies several needs and priorities for bear management, which the department is aggressively pursuing. As a result of this planning effort, we have implemented web-based registration, are contracting with Cornell University to develop a new population model for bears. We've initiated a project to improve tracking of bear conflicts, continue to survey bear hunters, and are continuing our long-running efforts to monitor the health of the bear population by studying radio-collared bears. However, we currently lack the ability to achieve one of our most important objectives for bears in Maine, minimizing bear population growth in areas of high human density. While we are extremely fortunate to have one of the largest bear populations in the country, Maine's bear population has been growing steadily at 2 to 4% per year since 2005. As the bear population increases, it is also expanding further into central and southern Maine, where the potential for conflicts with humans is highest. It is imperative that we take steps to slow bear population growth in more urban areas by working to increase participation in bear hunting. The changes outlined in this bill give the department the ability to strategically increase bear hunting opportunities in order to achieve population goals. These changes are an important companion to our ongoing efforts to increase harvest in bear hunting through marketing and education. Allowing the commissioner the rulemaking authority to expand the bear hunting season by a week and increase the bag limit to no more than 2 bears by hunting provides the department the ability to make bear season adjustments when necessary to meet publicly derived harvest and population objectives. We also expect that modifying bear permit fees and adjusting bear trapping license requirements will increase participation in bear hunting and trapping. Finally, by requiring new bear hunters to take a dedicated bear trapping education course, we will better prepare bear trappers to be successful. During the 129th legislature, this committee considered an earlier version of this bill, LD 1118. LD 142 from this session is essentially identical to the amended version of LD 1118, which was passed unanimously by this committee last year, but was not enacted in law due to early adjournment of the legislature caused by the COVID-19 pandemic. We strongly encourage the committee to support the comprehensive package of revisions to bear hunting and trapping contained in LD 142. I would be happy to answer any questions at this time or during the work session.
Thank you. Are there any questions for Mr. Webb? Representative Lightfoot.
Thank you, Senator Dill. Nate, could you give me a number of the amount of bear that is the manageable herd and the amount of bear you estimate now or present?
Yeah, our most recent population estimate was conducted a few years ago, and at that point, the population exceeded 35,000, and it has been growing at about 2 to 4% per year since then. So it's likely approaching the neighborhood of 40,000 bears.
In the manageable herd, what can you?
So our goal is to stabilize the population at approximately current levels. Right now we're experiencing levels of conflicts that, based on the public survey work that we've done, the public told us is acceptable. But we are concerned that as the population grows, and particularly as it expands its distribution further south into the populated areas of the state, that the levels of conflict that may occur with the public will exceed public tolerance. So our goal is to stabilize the population near current levels.
So at 35,000, you can manage that.
Exactly.
I know years ago it was talked about 23,000 was the manageable herd, but.
Right. No, you're absolutely correct. The population has grown since then. And we've been surprised, to be honest, that the level of conflict has remained as low as it has, but there are indicators that it is reaching a point where public tolerance is starting to decline. And
could you just, final question, could you give me some idea why it's grown?
Absolutely. It's primarily due to a reduction, a decline in hunter harvests and interest in bear hunting.
Thank you.
Thank you. Representative Hepler.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, Nate. So I don't know a whole lot about bear hunting and trapping. So I was just curious, what's the percentage of people who hunt versus people who trap?
So that's a great question. I can get those details for you for the work session. Hunting certainly is much more popular than bear trapping. However, The proportion of the harvest that has occurred via trapping has actually been increasing. It's one of the really the only harvest method that's consistently increased over time. So I have a few numbers in front of me. The average number of bears harvested by trapping since 2014 is about 125. Our total bear harvest ranges between about 2,500 and 3,500 per year.
Okay, thanks.
Representative Ordway.
Yeah, Mr. Webb, if you would, in this bill, the written testimony that we've received, a lot of it was in opposition. But in reading the bill, because it extended bear hunting, but this also gives the ability of the department to reduce days, doesn't it?
Absolutely. So this bill would essentially set the sideboards with which the commissioner and the department could establish bear hunting and trapping in rule. So in other words, the season dates and the bag limits could not exceed those that are established in this bill, but the seasons could be shorter, the bag limits could be lower as required through rulemaking to meet population goals.
So by this bill, it does not automatically increase the bear harvest.
Correct. So the bill does not automatically make any changes. Those changes would have to occur in rule.
Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other questions? Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Webb. Next is Steve Wood.
Good morning, Senator Dill, Representative Landry, members of the IFW committee. My name is Steve Wood. I'm a resident of Green. I'm a master main guide and a lodge owner, and I support the concept of this bill. I do have some issues with it. Like if they do extend the season an additional week early, are they going to move the hound season a week early? I can tell you a lot of the hound guys feel that they're taking away a week of training if you move the bear season a week early and don't move the hounds up a week. And I can tell you a lot of bait hunters think that moving the hounds up a week would be upsetting to them. And also, I know where I guide, the first week is an iffy week because it can be hot any earlier. And I think the bear hides wouldn't be as high quality as they are a week later. Higher quality, I should say. They're not graded the first week, but I also think there'd be a lot of meat spoilage if you moved it to, especially in southern Maine, because if it's 85 degrees, you got to get that hide off and get the meat cooled quick, and not everyone has that ability to do that. Also, we haven't changed the actual season for bait, hound, and stuff since the late 70s. So it's time that we move the baiting season longer into the month of October. I know that there's a lot of people say, well, right now there's going to be a conflict with hounds and bait guys. You know what? There's always been that conflict between hounds and bait guys, and there always will be. You know, so it's time that we extend the baiting season and just let us deal with each other, and we have to get along. That's basically it. Also, I've guided bear trappers for last probably 6-7 years now, and I'm gonna have to take a training course on how to do it. I think that I should be grandfathered, for example. I mean, and I was just curious about the non-residents. They're going to be able to buy a bear trapping tag without a trapping license. I thought previously they was going to have to buy a bear trapping license, but that's something that you guys need to work out. I would like to see the commissioner put a plan forward that we extend the baiting season at least 3 more weeks. Because for an example, last year I had a moose hunter that got his moose on the 2nd day of the season. He would like to have sat on a bait site. That would have benefited me. Yes, it would benefit a lot of other people. If he would pay me more to sit on a bait site. So, and guides and outfitters, we need that little extra help right now with this COVID and stuff. We need more opportunity. And that's what I had here. Oh, the bag limit. It says only 1 a day. Well, what if you trap one in the morning? Is that trapper that would say going to be sitting on a bait site that afternoon? Is he not going to be able to sit on that bait site because he's already taken a bear in the morning? I think they need to be separate, a trapping daily bag limit and a hunting daily bag limit. That was one of my other concerns. Yeah, I would also like to see two baiting seasons, like a southern Maine and a northern Maine, eastern Maine, because I know northern Maine the bears go to den early, but in southern Maine or central Maine or down east Maine, they tend to be out until October, November, even into December. So I really feel that needs to be a different 2 different seasons for baiting. I would like to see the commissioner look into that. That's it.
Thank you. Questions? Representative Danny Martin.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. My understanding of LD 142 simply gives the commissioner the authority to go to rulemaking. So I would assume that when they go to rulemaking, that she would allow testimony at a public hearing. And a lot of the comments that former Representative Wood mentioned are valid, but that would be addressed at a rulemaking public hearing, is my understanding.
Can I answer that? So right now, she has that ability to do that. The only thing that really this changes is the week earlier and the additional bear. That's the trapping issue. But she already has the ability to extend the baiting season more into October and do a lot of these things. You should know that, Representative Martin.
Representative Hepler.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Sorry, this is my ignorance of bear hunting. So, Mr. Wood, so you've introduced me to 2 other elements of hunting. One is by hounds and one is by bait hunters. Which is more, I mean, are they both equally popular?
Well, I can tell you that this year it has been very hard to book a hound hunter. Nobody seems to be interested in hound hunting. I've talked to probably 60 or 70 people in the last month or so. But it is very popular. It's a lot of fun. I enjoy doing it myself. But we take more bear over bait than we do with hounds or trapping, either one. And there's always been a conflict between hound guys and bait guys, and there always will be. And that's just something that each party needs to deal with on a case-by-case basis. You're never going to change the battle between the hound and the bait guys.
Thank you.
Any other questions for Mr. Wood? Seeing none, thank you. Next is Don Kleiner.
Good morning, Senator Dill, Representative Landry. I'm Don Kleiner, represent the Maine Professional Guides Association. You have written testimony from me, but I think in general, I'm glad Mr. Wood went first because he points out what I think is the difficulty of keeping the management of bears at the legislature. And that is, many of these issues are detail oriented and kind of down in the weeds. And if I can go back to when we met the first time now, a couple weeks ago, I talked about your role as setting policy. And I think this is a perfect example of a place where you can move the broad policy parameters and let the department work out the details in the rulemaking process. Not an easy trick. I think Mr. Wood points up exactly how tricky this will be going forward. And I think the list of concerns in my testimony will illustrate that. But I think at a very high level, the department needs to have the authority to manage bears, much as it does with deer, much as it does with other species. I think this is a wise move, and we are supportive in general. Thank you, Senator Dill.
Thank you. Are there any questions? Representative Lightfoot.
Thank you, Senator Dill. Dawn, in reading your testimony, it didn't seem like you were really overly enthused about this, although you supported it. Is that because of the reasons you just spoke?
I think, Representative Lightfoot, you've identified, what I attempted to do was identify the issues that I felt like we gave up in the compromise, things that need to be worked out going forward. We are supportive, absolutely, of the department getting management authority, but no, as Mr. Wood just pointed out, there are a lot of issues that need to be resolved here in the rulemaking process, and it won't be easy.
And Representative Martin pointed out in rulemaking that public meetings, hearings would hopefully straighten these things out or advise the department.
I would assume that, well, I know the department will go through the standard APA process. We will all have the opportunity for input, and the advisory council will finally make the decision on how this goes. And frankly, I'm confident at this point that the department is very collaborative and will come to it, probably not a perfect solution, but the best solution for all involved.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions? Seeing none, Representative Alley has joined us. Representative Alley, would you introduce yourself, please?
Yes, sir. I'm Robert Alley from down the Jonesboro Beals area. I have both communities that I work with. I'm a graduate of University of Maine in Bucayes, Orono, and Thomas College. And I am on the IFW and DMI this time. This is my fourth time.
Thank you. Next up is David Trahan, and followed by James Cody, Susanna Richer, and John Gloa. So with that, Mr. Trahan.
The Honorable Senator Dill, Representative Landry, members of the committee. My name is David Trahan. I'm the Executive Director of the Institute for Legislative Action. I'm not going to read my entire testimony because much of it's been said here, but I do want to speak to the process that this bill followed, because I think it's important for the committee and some of the people that are going to follow in their testimony. This bill was introduced as an attempt 2 years ago by our organization to give the Department of Inland Fisheries and Wildlife the tools they needed to better manage the black bear population. Right after we introduced the bill, I went to the department and asked if they would participate in a process to help draft the legislation. At that point, I basically turned over the drafting to the department and a coalition of groups on both sides of the issue as far as bear management, to allow people an opportunity to have their voices heard. That process took 2 years, and the product of that process is in front of you. As a former legislator myself, and I know that you all appreciate this, we don't always get what we want. And sometimes you have to compromise to come to a place where everyone is comfortable and you can move forward with policy that works for the state of Maine. I believe this bill is an example of good legislative process. All of the stakeholders had an opportunity to participate. When I say all, what might be considered as the animal rights movement did participate and had an opportunity to weigh in on components of this bill. In addition, the people on the other side, groups like mine, also participated. But although I feel like this bill started with the Sportsmen's Alliance of Maine, it ended up being a product of all of those involved. And it is one reason why we haven't trumpeted it as a SAM-ILA bill. It is truly a product of what I believe is hard work, but good legislative process. And for that, we are very supportive of this product. With that, the only amendment that I would offer to the committee is, if you can work through this bill and come to a unanimous committee report, that you consider putting an emergency on it so that can take effect immediately and allow the process to begin on what will be sometimes some contentious rulemaking process. And with that, thank you for your work, and thanks to the coalition that helped put this together.
Thank you. Are there any questions for Mr. Trahan? Seeing none. Next is James Cody.
Good morning, Senator Dill, Representative Landry, and members of the IFW committee. Thank you to Representative Martin for bringing this bill forward again this session. And thanks to the Department of Inland Fisheries and Wildlife and all of the stakeholders that worked on this legislation last session. My name is James Cody, and I'm here on behalf of the Maine Trappers Association. As has been noted, I'm not going to add a lot to what's already been said, but there was a significant amount of work and dialogue and deliberation that went into this proposed language last session, and we support LD 142 as presented. I don't disagree with a lot of what's been said, but I will say that giving the authority to the department and to the commissioner in this regard aligns well with much of what we do with other species. And we think it gives an efficient and flexible way for the department to assess all of the various scientific dynamics involved in these management plans, and then come to a conclusion on what these bag limits should be and what the seasons should be based on public input and combined with scientific expertise. We worked a lot with the department last year and other stakeholders on the trapper education course requirements. And we feel that those are fair to both veteran bear trappers that have been doing this for a long time, as well as gives the tools and resources and best information possible to new trappers, which we think is vitally important. As you all know, bear trapping has gone through an extensive amount of reform when it comes to the rules and regulations surrounding what it looks like to ensure that those processes are as safe and humane as possible, and also allow trapping opportunity to help reach our scientific bear management goals here in Maine. Lastly, I would just suggest that the reduction in bear trapping license fees or tags from $27 to $10 is a positive step forward in terms of eliminating barriers to entry and incentivizing people to participate in these pursuits. And with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Are there any questions for Mr. Cody? Seeing none. Again, thank you.
Thank you, Senator.
Next is Susanna Richer. Do I see her on here?
Senator, she has not come in as an attendee, so
Okay.
it may be that the invitation was late.
Okay, very good. Next is John Blower. Before I start with him, the next two that I have on my list after that is Katie Hansberry and Joseph Mullen. So with that, we'll go back to Mr. Glower.
Good morning. Can you folks hear me okay?
Yes.
All righty. Thank you. My name is John M. Glower Sr. I live in South China. My initial objection to LD 142 and its presentation by Representative Martin involved what I see as a possible conflict of interest. And my hope is that Representative John Martin recuses himself from this matter to avoid any possible appearance of conflict of interest. This bill has, I cite several reasons why I believe this is a bad bill. They include the bill has no basis in science, nor is any science cited to show the need for or impact of this bill. The bill actually requires or mandates, it doesn't simply authorize, it requires and mandates Fish and Wildlife to establish by rule a limit allowing hunters to kill up to two bears per calendar year. This is double the current limit, and there is no rationale cited for this increase. The bill contains no additional limits on the feeding of bears and no recognition of the impacts of bear feeding on bear reproduction and population growth. This bill effectively expands the bear hunting season, including with dogs, by 1 week on the front end. IFW's rulemaking process and the process for selecting members to the advisory council who approve these rules are both corrupt and undemocratic. By shifting responsibility for establishing killing limits for bear hunters to Fish and Wildlife, the legislature is effectively shutting out the people of Maine from the Fish and Wildlife management process. Unless and until IFW's processes and procedures are reformed, responsibility for establishing limits for killing bears should remain with the legislature. And lastly, this bill focuses solely on the killing of bears. It fails to address the simple scientific fact that feeding bears produces more bears. IFW has been aware for many years that cub production has increased since bear feeding became widespread. I believe it is past time for the Maine legislature to enact fish and wildlife laws based on science rather than on money and politics. Thank you.
Thank you for your testimony. Are there any questions? All right, seeing none, we'll move on. Linda, I do not see Katie Hansberry.
No, I do not believe she joined us today.
Okay, thank you. We'll go on to Joseph Mullen.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman and honorable members of the committee. My name is Joe Mullen, and I'm the New England State Senior Coordinator for the Congressional Sportsmen's Foundation. I appear before you today to express my support for LD 142. A number of the talking points that I plan on covering have been mentioned by former Representative Steve Wood as well as Mr. Don Kleiner. So out of respect for your time, I will keep my testimony short, though I encourage you to read the written testimony I've submitted. As a non-resident Maine hunting license holder, I can attest to the high regard that out-of-staters have for Maine's natural resources, which is largely a testament to the department's fantastic work and continued efforts. The department is in the best position to make these science-based management decisions as it has done for over a century. While the authority would be vested in the commissioner, she would be working alongside a team of highly educated and experienced staff members, including biologists, policy experts, and support staff and enforcement personnel. The commissioner is also in a position in which she is able to react expeditiously to changing conditions. The commissioner is able to evaluate the many variables that go towards setting a bear hunting season and bag limits in real time and propose adjustments as needed. For these reasons, I reiterate my support for LD 142 and again encourage you to read the written testimony that I have submitted. I'd like to thank you for your time.
Thank you. Are there any questions for Mr. Mullen? Yes. The only one that can ask questions, unfortunately, are committee members. I do see the commissioner's hand up, but.
Sorry, Senator Dill, I don't actually have a question. I just wanted to let you know that Katie Hansberry is in the room, but she is showing up on the screen as Representative Robert Alley. So she is here. I'm not sure why she has that tag on her name, but I think she does still want to testify.
Okay, thank you for that, Commissioner. Are there other questions? Seeing none, thank you. So if we can figure out how to get Doppelganger Hansberry in, there we go. And with that, Katie, go ahead.
Thank you, Commissioner. And yeah, maybe I got the wrong invite or something. I'm not sure. It shows Katie Hansberry on my screen right now.
It shows now too.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much. Senator Dill, Representative Landry, and members of the Committee on Inland Fisheries and Wildlife. My name is Katie Hansberry, not Representative Robert Alley. And I am the Maine State Director for the Humane Society of the United States. I'm testifying neither for nor against LD 142, which, as you've heard, is the result of an extensive stakeholder collaboration that was undertaken following the introduction of LD 1118 in the 129th legislature, which in its original version was a bill we strongly opposed. We welcomed the opportunity to be involved in the joint effort to develop the language of LD 142, but there's still more work to be done to make wildlife management policymaking process more inclusive of a broad representation of Maine citizens. While we continue to have concerns over the potential for bear hunters to be allowed to take 2 bears by methods including baiting and hounding, LD 142 importantly maintains a bag limit of 2 in statute and the limit of 1 bear by trapping. Thank you very much for your time and the opportunity to testify today.
Thank you. Are there any questions for Katie? Seeing none, thank you. Linda, that's all I have on my list. Is there anyone else that I'm missing?
Not that I can see at this point for 142.
Okay. Representative Lyford, do you have a question?
Yes, Senator Dill. In reading John Glora's testimony, he raised a legal question about Representative Martin putting this bill in. I'm just wondering how you and the rest of the committee members feel about possibly sending this over to the AG's office so that we could get a ruling and safely move forward for the work session, maybe. Thank you.
Well, my first thought on that is it's a department bill, so any of us could have put in it wasn't directly John Martin's bill, but certainly I'm willing to listen to that. And I'd actually turn to John Martin to see if he wants to speak to that issue.
Absolutely. Rules of conflict of interest are pretty clear under the legislature, and they apply if it's singularly you are the one person that could be affected by the legislation. If it's multiple, for example, 50,000 people have the same issue. That's the same issue, for example, that the Supreme Court and the Attorney General has ruled, for example, on teachers, as to whether or not a teacher can actually vote on increasing the salary for teachers. And it is the same issue. I mean, obviously there is no conflict, and obviously it's a great, comment, I suppose, for him to be making, and that's fine with me. I don't have any problem. I do want to add just one thing, because it sort of came to mind as we were listening to this debate here. Prior to the 1960s, the state had a policy of too many bears, and the state was paying $5 a foot for every foot of a bear that was turned into the Department of Inland Fisheries and Wildlife. And that was abolished. Ironically, when I first ran for the legislature, one of my opponents ran to reinstitute that policy. And of course, he didn't make the Democratic primary, but that's just a little history, as I thought I'd mention that.
Representative Ordway.
I see no conflict here at all, and I am not interested in sending that to the AG.
Thank you. I think it's been clarified with Representative Martin pointed out to us, but thank you for that. Any other questions? Seeing none, I will close the hearing on LD 142. And then we will open up the hearing on LD 212, an act to support senior hunting by allowing lifetime licensed hunters over 65 years of age to automatically receive an antlerless deer permit. And the Representative Ducharme is the sponsor, so I will turn over to him to introduce it.
There, had to get the video going and unmuted. Good morning. Good morning, Senator Dill, Representative Landry, honorable members, Inland Fisheries and Wildlife Committee. My name is Jack Dishart. I represent House District 111, which is Norridgewock, Solon, and most of Madison. I'm here today to present my bill, LD 212, an act to support senior hunting by allowing lifetime licensed hunters over 65 years of age to automatically receive an antlerless deer permit. I present this bill to you today on behalf of a constituent from my district. By allowing these senior hunters the opportunity to harvest either a doe or a buck in season may be a way to help many of them hunt for more years than they might. As we age, it becomes more difficult to walk over long distances through the woods, over rough terrain, and sometimes in deep snow. Many hunters sit in the woods in hopes that a deer will pass them by as they travel through the woods. Some of these hunters may go years without seeing an antlered deer, but as the recent increase in antlerless deer permits suggests, many often will see does. This bill asks that we provide these seniors who clearly love hunting by virtue of holding a lifetime hunting license the opportunity to harvest a deer during the season. The bill doesn't suggest that we allow them to take more than one deer, only that we allow them to harvest a deer regardless of sex. For some, it may be the last deer that they shoot in their lives. Last year, Maine's Inland Fisheries and Wildlife Department increased the any deer permit by 60%. This increase comes after increasing permit numbers by nearly 30% in 2018. Any deer permits are the mechanism by which Inland Fisheries and Wildlife regulate the deer herd in various areas of the state of Maine. As you can see from the chart that I included with my testimony, the numbers change dramatically from year to year. The deer population varies depending on the severity of the winter, predatory pressure, and many other factors. Hunters understand that. This bill is really about the hunters rather than the deer. Many of these hunters will have one or two opportunities to harvest a deer in their lifetime. Many of them have hunted all their lives and will wait for as long as they can before harvesting a doe in hopes of getting a trophy buck. Providing an any deer permit will not automatically guarantee that the nearly 40,000 senior hunters will take a doe. It will only provide them an opportunity for success that might elude them for the rest of their lives. I would acknowledge Inland Fisheries and Wildlife should be able to manage the any deer permit system, should be able to utilize the any deer permit system to help manage the deer population, healthy deer herd in the state of Maine. The statistics, one statistic that I found interesting in looking at this is when you overlay the changes in doe permitting with the numbers of car collisions in Maine. I've always thought that that's one of the reasons why that we had any deer permits to lower the numbers, and perhaps that might reduce the amount of collisions. But if you look at the numbers, which again are on my chart, it doesn't seem to be, there seems to be no correlation between the number of collisions and the number of antlerless deer permits that are given. I would hope that the Inland Fisheries and Wildlife would choose to honor the dedication that many of these senior citizens have to the sport of hunting and wildlife management over the years. I urge you to consider the 212. It's an opportunity to honor our senior citizens while at the same time helping with the management of our white-tailed deer population. Thank you for your consideration. While I'm not a hunter, I'll be happy to try and answer any questions that you might have.
Thank you for your testimony and sponsoring. Are there any questions? Seeing none, it appears there may be at least one other sponsor, Representative Jennifer Poirier. If she is here, could you let her in, Linda? I thought I saw her name under attendees. Welcome, Representative.
Thank you very much, Senator Dill, Representative Landry, and distinguished members of the Joint Standing Committee on Inland Fisheries and Wildlife. My name is Jennifer Poirier. I'm a representative of House District 107, which is Skowhegan and a small piece of Madison. I'm very pleased to be a co-sponsor of LD 212. LD 212 shows appreciation to Maine's senior lifetime licensed hunters by entitling them to an antlerless deer permit without the obligation of entering the lottery, which, as we know, it's a hit or miss. Maine already awards such permits to individuals with ambulatory disabilities. This bill would show a small gesture of appreciation to lifetime hunters over the age of 65 while helping sustain healthy deer populations in Maine. While I was doing research on the topic, I did see that we do, as a state, already offer licenses for second permits. So if there was a question as far as the number of permits being issued, my suggestion would be maybe cut back on the number of second permits so that we could authorize these permits to people over the age of 65. So I appreciate your consideration, Bill. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any questions? All right, seeing none, I will turn to the departments. And for the department is Mr. Nate Webb, followed by, excuse me, are there any other sponsors? I don't think I saw any other sponsors or legislators that were interested in testifying. Okay, before I turn to Mr. Webb, the next three up are Steve Wood, Don Kleiner, and David Trahan. So with that, Mr. Webb.
Good morning again, Senator Dill, Representative Landry, and members of the Inland Fisheries and Wildlife Committee. I am Nate Webb, Wildlife Division Director of the department, speaking on behalf of the department in opposition to LD 212. This bill provides that a person 65 years of age or older who possesses a valid senior resident lifetime hunting license must receive a permit to lawfully take an antlerless deer in any part of the state open to the taking of antlerless deer. The size of Maine's deer population is regulated in part by the number of female deer killed by the various forms of hunting. Antlerless harvest is allowed by lottery-drawn permits referred to as any deer permits. The department attempts to control the number of female deer killed in each wildlife management district by issuing any deer permits within a range that will allow the department to meet its deer population management objectives throughout the state. This means that each year only a specific number of female deer can be killed by all types of hunting in each wildlife management district. If this number is exceeded, the deer population will decline. This bill allows the take of antlerless deer by senior lifetime license holders in all WMDs where antlerless deer permits are issued, which would result in an unpredictable antlerless deer harvest and remove the department's ability to carefully regulate the harvest of female deer in each wildlife management district. While some WMDs currently support high numbers of deer and could sustain increased levels of antlerless harvest by senior hunters, others are very near population objectives and can sustain only a limited amount of antlerless deer harvest. In some WMDs, particularly those in northern Maine, the Western Mountains, and down east, we routinely issue 100 or fewer any deer permits to meet doe harvest objectives ranging from just 5 to 35 adult does. In these areas, increased antlerless harvest by senior hunters could result in exceeding doe harvest objectives, leading to little or no allowable antlerless harvests in subsequent years for all hunters. Additionally, this bill does not allow the department to control the level of antlerless deer harvest by senior lifetime license holders, since there are no limits on the number of individuals that would be eligible for this opportunity. Currently, there are approximately 44,000 senior lifetime license holders that would automatically be eligible for an any deer permit if this bill were to pass. To address this issue, the department would have to reduce the number of any deer permits available to other hunters to account for the anticipated harvest by seniors. In most years, more than 50% of permits would likely go to senior lifetime license holders, making them unavailable for youth hunters, landowners, and the general hunting population. As the department implements the current big game management plan, we are investigating ways to increase the harvest of antlerless deer in those areas of the state where the population exceeds social and biological objectives. However, the department hopes to do this in a way that is predictable for all hunters, preferably without establishing preferences for certain user groups. Earlier this session, the department offered testimony in support of LD 116, an act to allow the Commissioner of Inland Fisheries and Wildlife to authorize the hunting of antlerless deer without a permit in certain areas. This bill would enable the commissioner to allow hunters to take antlerless deer without an antlerless deer permit in certain areas of the state by rule. This approach would provide additional antlerless harvest opportunity to all hunters in specific areas where antlerless deer harvest needs to be encouraged. Ultimately, any change to deer hunting regulations should strive to achieve a predictable harvest that allows the department to manage deer in a biologically responsible manner. We would ask the committee to allow the department to continue implementing the big game management plan to accomplish that. And I would be happy to answer any questions at this time or during the work session.
Thank you. Are there any questions? Representative Lyford.
Thank you, Senator. So Nate, you're just saying that this bill is a non-manageable bill. Is that correct?
That is our perspective. So to give you a brief example, the number of any deer permits that we issue, it varies markedly from year to year, as I said, depending on winter conditions and other factors. It's not uncommon for us to issue 30,000 or fewer any deer permits in a given year. This bill, as written, would automatically give 44,000 senior lifetime license holders an any deer permit each year with no restrictions on where those permits could be used. They could be used in any district that's open to the taking of antlerless deer. So that would mean essentially in those years, there would be no permits available for other hunters in the state. And in some years, there would be more seniors authorized to hunt antlerless deer than we would typically issue permits in that year, given the status of the deer population.
Thank you.
Representative Hepler.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Excuse me. Nate, what's the percentage of permits that are issued versus deer that are harvested? I know I think you probably answered this question last week, but.
No, that's a great question. It does vary quite a bit from wildlife management district to wildlife management district, and even from year to year, depending on hunting conditions and so forth. We typically issue about 8, in the range of about 8 any deer permits for each adult doe that is harvested. And that, again, that does vary, but that's an approximate average.
Okay, thank you.
Are there any other questions? Seeing none, thank you. Next is Steve Wood.
Good morning, Senator Dill, Representative Landry, members of the IFW committee. I support this concept of this bill. Maybe you could amend it so that the individual would have, the senior member would have to actually apply for a doe permit, and they would receive a doe permit after the youth and after the landowners and the youth have received theirs. They'd be the next step up to receive a doe permit. That's all I have.
Are there any questions for Mr. Wood? Seeing none, thank you. Next is Don Kleiner.
Good morning, Senator Dill, Representative Landry, distinguished members of the committee. I'm Don Kleiner, representing the Maine Professional Guides Association. We are opposed to this for the simple reason that any deer permits are a management tool. And the legislature perpetually tinkering with that management tool has made it very difficult to specifically manage the herd. I frequently speak in favor of giving management authority to the department. To me, this is the classic example of the place where, frankly, you don't belong, or it's not your role to tinker with these sorts of drawings. I heard Mr. Webb just say it takes 8 doe permits to get 1 doe harvested. Seems to me when this all started, we were at the ratio of about 4 to 1. So we've inflated the doe permit situation by giving them out sort of to whatever group we like at this point. And I'm not sure that that's the direction we want to go. I'm not opposed. I don't think we are opposed to having a broader discussion about the use of the any-deer permit system. But frankly, I don't think the legislature is where that should happen. Thank you. Happy to answer any questions if you have them.
Are there any questions? Seeing none. Thank you. Next is David Trahan.
Honorable Senator Dill, Representative Landry, members of the Inland Fisheries and Wildlife.
Did we lose him?
Yes, my apologies. I think it flips around, so I think I put him back to attendee. My apologies, and I'll bring him right back in.
Sure. Mr. Trahan, if you'd start all over, we lost you. Unmute yourself. David, you got to unmute yourself. Mr. Trahan, you're muted. Would you? There we go.
Okay. Honorable Senator Dill, Representative Landry, members of the committee. My name is David Trahan, Executive Director of the SAMILA, testifying neither for nor against on LD 212. Each year, several bills are introduced to the legislature to allow certain groups to get antlerless deer permits for various reasons. In an attempt to provide opportunity to these groups, our permit system has been made less effective. Last week, we asked the committee to consider establishing a working group to consider reforming the antlerless permit system so it can return to an effective and predictable management tool. I served on the IFW committee just a decade after the antlerless permit system was created in 1986. It was created to protect does and build a stable white-tailed deer population across our state. This was the purpose of the system at the time, for wildlife biologists to regulate the harvest of antlerless deer as a primary means of controlling deer populations at a healthy level. Our organization again asked the committee to create the stakeholders group to examine the antlerless permit system before passing any new legislation, further undermining this important management tool. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Trahan. Are there any questions? Seeing none, that's all I have on my list. Linda, is that correct? Is there anyone else that I'm missing?
Not for 212.
Okay, great. Thank you. I will close the hearing on LD 212. And I will open the hearing on LD 223, an act to clarify Maine's fish and wildlife licensing and registration laws. And that is to be presented by Representative Alley. So Representative Alley, if you want to unmute yourself, we'll start. Representative Alley, you're muted. You are still muted.
How's
There we
that?
go. That sounds good.
Yes, sir. Good morning, Senator Dale, Representative Landry, and fellow members of the Inland Fish and Wildlife. I am Robert Alley, and I am represent 11 communities. We've gone through that already, so I will go down to LD 223, an act to verify. Well, you can, if you move just to right, you just lose everything. Okay. An act to clarify Maine's fish and wildlife licensing and restoration laws. This bill will make 3 different changes to IFW laws. One's concerning snowmobile restoration dates, another concerning junior trapping licensing, and the third dealing with the reinstatement, suspended or revoked licenses, permit regulations. And I was asked to do this, sponsor this by the IFW, and I did it very graciously. Thank you.
Sir. Are there any questions for Representative Allen? Seeing none, I don't see any other sponsors or legislators on the list to testify. So next up is Bill Swan from the department. There you go, Bill. You're unmuted now. And there we go. Awesome.
Okay, very good. Good morning, Senator Dill, Representative Landry, and members of the Inland Fisheries and Wildlife Committee. I'm Bill Swan, Director of Licensing and Registration at the Department of Inland Fisheries and Wildlife, speaking on behalf of the department in support of LD 223. LD 223 proposes 3 different changes to current law. The first of the proposed changes relates to snowmobile registrations. Currently, the registration for any snowmobile registered between May 1st and May 31st will expire at the end of June 30th of that year. The change would provide that the registration for any snowmobile registered between May 1st and May 31st would expire on June 30th of the following year. This proposed change would make snowmobile registrations consistent with ATV registrations in this regard of timing of expiration and registration. The second proposed law change relates to the junior trapping licenses. Currently, the fee for a resident junior trapping license is $10, and the fee for a non-resident junior trapping license is $318, which is the same as for an adult non-resident. The law change proposes to allow a non-resident youth to purchase a trapping license for the same $10 fee as a resident youth. This change supports the department's R3 efforts to provide lower cost opportunities for youth and to engage the activities we manage. The third proposed law change relates to a reinstatement fee to be paid by a person who has had their license, permit, or registration suspended or revoked. Current law allows for a reinstatement fee of $25 for some, but not all suspensions or revocations. The proposed law change would establish that a reinstatement fee would apply for all suspensions or revocations of department licenses, permits, or registrations. Further, it is proposed that the reinstatement fee be increased to $50 to be more in line with administrative cost incurred with the suspensions and revocations. Be happy to answer any questions now or at work session.
Are there any questions for Mr. Swan? Representative Hepler.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I actually, and thanks, Mr. Swan. I actually heard from a town clerk in Georgetown about this and made it sound like that the changing the registration for snowmobiles would be logistically difficult. Nightmare was actually the word she used.
Yes, what I would say is the way it currently works is that the department does not distribute snowmobile registration stickers to any of our agents until probably September of coming into the year. So any registrations for snowmobiles that are done right now, okay, in that time frame are basically done online. Okay, so I'm not really sure. I could talk with the person to see what they saw as a problem, but basically what it would mean is the towns would sell snowmobile registrations, if you will, up through April 30th. And anybody that was going to register from May 1st on would be registering online. Now, keep in mind, the real reason we did this is some people register online and they don't really, to be honest with you, pay attention to what they're doing. They think they actually are registering for the next year when they register on May 15th, but in essence, they're not. When they figure that out, they ask for a refund and we give them one. So this is trying to kind of smooth that through and kind of cut back on some problems.
Okay. And is that, is that, you said that's consistent with the way ATVs are registered?
Yeah, right now with an ATV, if you register your ATV on May 1st or beyond, your registration is good through the entire year up till June 30th of the following year. Okay, so in essence, it kind of gives them two months for free, if you will. But most people have already registered them at that point. So it's really just somebody that's registering a new ATV, say on May 2nd.
And then just one follow-up question about the reinstatement fee is, why do people get their licenses revoked?
many different reasons. Could
Sorry.
be night hunting. It could be all kinds of things. There's a lot of different things. Warden service could, if you wanted to put Dan Scott from the Warden Service on, he could speak to it quite extensively, I'm sure.
Thank you.
Thank you. Representative Ordway.
Yeah, just a quick question. Why are we bundling all three of these together? And, I think I get on board really easy with two of them and one I have an issue with. So just why are we bundling all these?
This is kind of like a department omnibus bill related to licensing and registration things. So we typically have 3 or 4 initiatives every year that we do bundle together, but you guys can certainly take one or both or all of them out. That's not you can do that if you want.
Other questions? Thank you. Seeing none. Moving on, the next 3 folks to testify is Steve Wood, James Cody, and David Trahan. Mr. Wood, you're up.
Good morning, Senator Dill, Representative Landry, members of the IFW committee. I support this bill. The only thing I had a question really about was the reinstatement fee and stuff. I know in previous other, like for hunting licenses and stuff, you require a course on ethics. I would like to see it on an ethics course, require an ethics course on everything, like for ATV problems and stuff, because there are more times I see ATV problems with landowners going through brooks and mud puddles and just making a mess. And if an individual had to go to a course on ethics, I think that should be added to the course. That's all.
Thank you. Are there any questions for Mr. Wood? Seeing none. Next is James Cody.
Senator, I believe he has left.
He has left. Okay. Thank you. Then we go on to David Trahan.
Again, Honorable Senator Dill, Representative Landry. Again, my name is David Trahan, Executive Director of the SAM ILA. I have not prepared testimony for this bill, but I did want to testify on just one component, and that is the reinstatement fee. It appears as if the department is trying to align a similar policy as with the Department of Marine Resources on reinstatement fees. Our organization always is concerned when fees go up in anything to do with the department, particularly given a history, not with this current administration, but in the past of money going back into the general fund and being basically used to subsidize the general fund. So we monitor these fees very closely, particularly in certain areas of the department where we believe additional funding is necessary. We don't always testify in opposition because we do support the department and the important projects that they do to support our community. With that, in conversations with the department, I suggested that we would move from neither for nor against to support for this bill if we knew it was going somewhere where we felt was a priority. And for us, a place for that money to go would be the landowner relations program. Given that many of the conflicts that occur with these suspensions occur on private property and really upset the landowner community, we believe that this fee, if it was dedicated to the landowner relations program, could kill a couple of birds with one stone, and that is give that important program some funding that it needs, ease up some of the concerns with the money just disappearing into a black hole, and then also continue to improve on our landowner relations issues that we have out there. And with that, I will stop my testimony.
Thank you. Are there any questions? All right, seeing none. Thank you, Mr. Trahan. Linda, that's all I have on my list. Is that it?
And that's all I have, Senator.
All right, thank you. Then I will close the hearing on LD 223. Linda or Rachel, are there any other things that need to come before us this morning? Rachel shaking her head no. Linda
And not to
saying
my
no.
knowledge, no.
Okay, can I have a motion to adjourn? It's been moved by Representative Hepler. Oh, sorry, Representative Hepler has a question.
All right. I meant to ask Bill Swan, who was testifying, and maybe this is a question for Linda. I haven't looked through all of the submitted testimony. Has the department submitted testimony on that?
Yes, I believe it has. Okay. I'm not sure if it went through the web portal or not.
I'll look through it. Thanks.
But I do have it, and if you have not received it, then I can send it to you. I'm almost certain I have it.
Thank you. Oh, and I'll make the motion to adjourn.
Okay, it's been moved. Is there a second? It's been seconded by Representative Ordway. All in favor? None opposed. Thank you all. See you on Wednesday.